Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Aliens and UFOs video. Alright, one more entry here based on one of your suggestions. This one being one of the newer suggestions. I'll probably end up doing just one last one and then give this series a rest thereafter and then focus on some other stuff for you here. So this one has to do with an encounter that actually mimics the one I just did the other video or so, the one about the Vodunay's alien encounter. And this is because this specific encounter happened in a very public place, also involves school children, but there's an added twist, in this case being a potential chase, an almost dogfight chase in the sky between the UFO and some military craft. So it has to do with this, the 1966 Westall UFO Encounter, which you're looking at a picture of here. So lots of good info to share, and with a bonus of apparently there being a huge amount of cover up on this encounter thereafter. Lots of witnesses reporting strange stuff involving cover up. So here we go. So what was the 1966 Westall UFO Encounter? Well, again, it happened during that year in a place that was in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. So this particular date was April 6th to be exact, and the time period was 11 a.m. Nothing really, I guess, interesting about that day beforehand, but then cut to that time period and this is what occurred. So about 11 a.m. There was a school there that was called Westall High School. Today apparently it's called Westall Secondary College. And at that time there were some people that were out. Some of the kids, I guess, playing around. I guess others doing outside activities as well. And then that's when they noticed this. They were seeing something considered large, silverish colored, and saucer shaped coming about to their area. It was about the size of 2 or 3 cars to be exact. It hovered over the school for a couple of minutes, then it went over to a wooded area. So everyone was seeing what this was. This wasn't something where it was just maybe caught in the corner of the school. No, this thing was pretty much flying all around the main areas where everyone was located at. Nobody, in essence, was missing out on what they were seeing. In fact, it was described that the children at that school were mesmerized by what they were seeing, including the teachers, who all of them, entranced by this UFO, saw that when it went to that wooded area, it looked like it proceeded to land itself. They, of course, decided to inspect it even further. This, I do believe, like I was just watching portions again of War of the Worlds, that fantastic movie, the one with Tom Cruise the other day, and whenever that Martian, I guess, tripod first comes out from the ground, I do believe that people would be a little skittish at first, but then when nothing is happening, at least at that point, people would begin approaching it just to inspect it, even from a distance, but still they would approach it. And so I think that's what happened in this case here too. So there they were, the children, the teachers, proceeding to this wooded area. According to this information, there was one girl that made it closer to the UFO than others, but she was found unconscious. So it made it seem like she was the first one, I guess, running towards that UFO, kind of getting ahead of things, and then going a little bit beyond the distance where she was unseen just temporarily. And when everybody else caught up to that place, then that's when they found her unconscious. This other part, though, I don't know if this is 100% true, but afterward she was taken away in an ambulance and then was reportedly never back at that school thereafter. In other words, she never returned to that school. So who knows if that information is 100% true or what happened to her, but at least she was one of the first witnesses to reach there. So this UFO was just there, not doing anything. This isn't a tail with, in this case, let's say some of the aliens coming out or doing anything else in particular. No, the UFO just landed there. There's a bit of a discrepancy into how it quote unquote landed. Like, did it actually touch the ground, or was it hovering above the ground itself? It still seems to be a little bit of a toss-up, almost a coin toss, when it comes to that fact. And it'll play into some things later on, and I'll mention them here in a minute. But they saw this thing just within the ground, and then that's when it decided that it was gonna go back up. So it decided to rise up back into the air, did so at a pretty incredible speed, but then it was met by 5 other objects who the students and the teachers there surmised were military planes. It seems like wherever this UFO came from, it attracted the attention enough of the local military there to be able to arrive a couple of minutes after it landed at that school. And so these military planes met it, chased it, and then presumably that was it. The UFO left with the military planes following it thereafter, and that was the last, I guess, of the encounter between the students, the teachers, and this UFO. And then with regards to where it landed, again, it was a toss-up on how it landed. Was it actually touching the ground? Was it just floating? Either way, there was a huge flattened part in the shape of a circle right in that area that it landed. So it was there, but unfortunately no one, I guess, took any concrete evidence because it disappeared after 20 minutes. Normally you hear sometimes with these encounters where a UFO, its landed location, it leaves some kind of permanent mark of some sort. But no, in this case all it did was it pretty much just flattened, I guess, the grass within that portion of the land, and then the grass afterward just went back to its rightful place. So no real evidence associated with that, but still, that at least it shows where this UFO landed. In other words, it showed proof, and these people weren't all going out of their minds. Shortly thereafter, the children were just told, go back to school, take the rest of the classes there, and then that's when things took a little bit of an interesting turn. I mentioned earlier about the cover-up with regards to this encounter. So here's what happened. First off, the police, the local police, came by, spoke to a lot of the adult witnesses there, even went to the headmaster of the school, I guess the closest thing you could approximate to a principal there. And then after they met with all those people from the school, then there was a quote-unquote unscheduled assembly that suddenly came about. So all of a sudden everyone, all the teachers, all the students, were told to assemble somewhere, and then there they were told by, in this case, the main people of the school. I don't know if the police were still with them at that time, but they were told that what they had just seen, if you can believe this, was not a UFO, but it was something involving a weather balloon. And if they saw, if they wanted to spread this information to anyone else, they were told not to repeat that it was a UFO, but instead that they were mistaken, that it was actually a weather balloon. And then that way, that was going to be the official quotations explanation involving this encounter. Obviously, that was not something that everyone agreed to on that part. So because of that, there were some other teachers that were visited by some even stranger fellows. In this case, by the MIB themselves, the Men in Black. Apparently there were some teachers that reported that 2 men in dark black suits came about and talked to them as well. They were told not to talk to anybody about what they saw, especially if any journalists, anybody from the press, decided to come about and try to get more information. And if you want to take things a step further, one of those same teachers reportedly said that one of her cameras, the one that she was using to take pictures throughout this entire alien encounter, this UFO encounter, one of the lucky ones, I guess, that had those cameras to take pictures right then and there. She said that she had snapped dozens of pictures as this UFO was wandering about the skies, but one of these MIB personnel took it from her and then said pretty much nonchalantly that this was now their property. And then when she asked to identify themselves, naturally, like, who are they? What rights do they have? They said that they were from the ASIO, which stands for the Australian Security Intelligence Organization. And then that's it. They left it at that. And if you wanted to take things even further, there was another encounter, in this case a teacher by the name of Andrew Greenwood. Instead of being visited at school, he was visited right at home. Very same agents, it seemed like, came back to him told him, I guess they were finding out that he was someone that was not going to stay quiet, and they told him that they would A, have him fired, and then B, discredit him by releasing these weird rumors about him being an alcoholic if he did not stick to the story, the one that they had told everyone to mention at the assembly. So there you have some really, I guess, interesting encounters of cover-up between some of the witnesses and then some of these other officials. And then with regards to the press and what they could do, apparently the press around that location didn't report too much except for one that decided, I guess, to stick their neck out, and that was the Dang Denong, I hope I'm saying it right, the Dang Denong Journal. They tried to interview as many people as were brave enough to come forward with this. They even made a lot of their stories front page stuff. Obviously, you know that stuff sells, but at the same time, they wanted to showcase the importance of this strange encounter, whatever occurred that fateful day. And with regards to that, you're looking at some of the pictures of it here. In fact, it's been surmised that based on the investigation of this journal, somewhere between over 100 to maybe 200 people witnessed this encounter. And again, all of them being told that, remember, that they did not see these UFOs, but rather they saw something involving a weather balloon. So they misinterpreted what they saw. It had to be, in this case, a weather balloon. Over the years, there have been documentaries and then some news reports regarding this instance as well. But that's it. That's all the information tied to this unique encounter, this 1966 Westall UFO Encounter. So if anyone has any more information, anything else that I might have missed that's interesting, please post those comments below. That'd be really good to hear. Quite fascinating the fact that this is also one of those encounters involving the cover-ups with the MIBs, the Men in Blacks involved too. So if anyone has any more info on that, that would be really good to hear too. So alright everybody, thanks again as always, take care.